I've been out scouting some new locations for some landscape photography, and on the way I've just stumbled on this patch of rosehips. So I'm going to carry on this making stuff, like foraging series. I've been enjoying it, and we've actually made some nice stuff lately. It's sort of the thing that you wouldn't buy, but when you make it yourself it's quite nice. So I'm going to try and make something with the rosehips. The only thing I can think of at the moment is rosehip syrup, but the rosehips are these berries here. They're a red berry, and you might recognise them from school because this is what you'd call itching powder. But I'm going to pick as many of these as I can find. But in this hedgerow we've also got elderberries. These ones are a bit dry and I'm not a big fan of these. And there's also some hawthorn berries in here. Again, I don't want these today, but you can get quite a lot in a small area. But we just want these rosehips today. Our goats love eating these, so they'll probably get some of these too. Anna, come here. He's so angry. Are they good? Are they good? But these runners. These runners. Is that good? I'm back in the kitchen now and got quite a decent collection of these rosehips. We've still got quite a few of the branches, and I'm going to go through and take out the worst ones of these. A few things have changed since I last had the video on though. I had that first batch, then I took some down to the goats and they did like them. I only gave them like 10 or 15. Bella really liked them. She got a bit bitey, kicky and headbutty. And then I gave some to Anna, and then we noticed that there was some down in the field next to where the goats are. So we picked a few more, and we had just below a kilo, which is what the recipe asked for. And maybe if I didn't give the goats quite as many, I would have had enough. So I've been out again, and we've got more than we need now. We've got about 1.2 kilos, but I figured more is better than less, and we'll probably just have a slightly more fruity syrup than we're meant to. But other than that, we're going to stick with the same recipe. So the recipe asks for a kilo of rose hips, 3 litres of water and 500 grams of brown sugar. Dark brown sugar. I've got light brown sugar. I'll work that out. But what we're going to do is, because these have got the branches still left on, I've got a knife somewhere. Just going to use a little knife, then you're probably just going to top and tail them, and then get rid of all the nasty looking bits. And then it's safe to put these in a food processor, but I've got a chopping board down here, and we'll just give them a rough chop with a big knife. This process has sort of gone from, I'm going to do a thorough job and take away all the bad bits and top and tail them, to looking for a shortcut pretty quickly. I'm basically just grabbing handfuls now and just taking the leaves out, because I'm not too sure if it's worth the time to go through and do all the other stuff, because it's all going to get caught in this filter anyway. So we're basically just trying to get the juices out. At least that's what I'm telling myself. What I am going to do though is I'm going to give these a quick rinse, because if you see my hands there, they're kind of dirty. So I think there's going to be quite a bit of dirt on there. Look at that. It's kind of weird how some of them float and then some of them sink. I wonder what the difference is. Seems a bit overkill, but I found my grandma's old jam making pan. So we can get all the berries in there, and we're going to put 2 litres of water in there and bring it up to the boil. And while that's coming up to the boil, we'll chop up the berries, but we'll get this started now. Giving these a quick clean and just going to rough them up a little bit with the knife. I don't think it's got to be too broken up, but it's just so that the berries break down a little bit easier. I can see why it said to use a food processor in the recipe. They're quite hard to cut through. Found a way to cheat. That way seems to mash them up. So we'll chuck all those in there. So the recipe that I'm following says to bring this back up to the boil and then take it off the heat and then leave it for 20 minutes. But because I've taken a bit of a detour from the plan, I'm going to boil it for a few minutes, mash it down and then take it off. I'm going to try and crush these while it's coming up to heat. They still feel a bit firm, but the colour of the water is changing loads. Change of plan part 2. The potato masher wasn't quite working. It was squeezing some of the juice out, but I'm going to use this like pulse, like hand blender. It's just got like a spinner in the bottom, so we'll plunge that in. It'll work out fine in the end. This is just a Kappa version. This is quite satisfying actually. This started boiling really quickly after we blended it, so I guess the heat can get through it more. So that's bubbling away, so I'm going to grab it off and put it on here and we'll leave it for 20 minutes. I'm going to try and show you this bit, but I might need to move you out the way. Yeah, I'm just going to catch the microphone, move you up a little bit. I'm not sure if you saw any of that through the clouds, or steam, I mean, but poured all that into there now and it's starting to drip through. I'm going to come back to this tomorrow and hopefully all that liquid's gone through. It's the next afternoon now and I've left this straining all day and night and we've got quite a bit of liquid in the bottom there. This is just all the seeds, and apparently we need to put this back into the pan with a litre of boiling water. So it's basically the same as what we did last night, so I'm going to just do that and skip that in the video. I left this straining in here for a few hours. I had dinner and had a few other jobs to do, but it seems like most of the liquid has come out now. So we've got all the juices left in the bottom. So apparently we have to boil this up, well, let it simmer with the sugar. We've got 500 grams of the dark brown sugar here. The other thing I've found out in the meantime is all these berries. Our goats love this. Is that nice? So I think I'm going to try and make some sort of biscuit or dry it out on this tray. That's a different story though. But going to stick this onto the heat again, give it a stir around because it's quite a thick syrup in the bottom. So we'll try and get that up to the top, add in the sugar and then we'll start bottling it. That's starting to get hot now. So we'll add in the sugar. I think that the brown sugar just has the molasses still on it. I'm not really too sure what the difference is though. But we'll give this a stir in. And I think it's going to make the liquid a lot darker. I'll try and stir it on this side so you can see it in the light. See how it's made it a lot darker? And we just got to simmer this for 5 minutes. It's got a lot darker now. Seems to have got a lot thicker after we've added that sugar. That tastes totally different. Yes, it's that molasses taste. It has got sweeter as well, but it's more than molasses that you can taste. Managed to get 5 of these bottles filled up. Just filled them up to just below the top of this bit. And it doesn't look anything like I thought it was going to look. So maybe there is too much sugar. I just followed the recipe. But I've got a little bit left over that isn't worth putting into a bottle. So we'll let this cool down and then give it a taste test. Also, I managed to not spill any. Wasn't expecting that. So I've let this cool down for a little bit now and we'll give it a taste. I can only really smell the sugar, but the other thing that I notice is it's really dark. I was expecting it to be red, but now it's just like the same colour as the dark brown sugar. So we'll try a little bit of it. Do you see that? It's quite thick. Try and pour it through. So quite a thick consistency. It's definitely a syrup. Oh, I can actually taste the fruit actually. Yeah, you can still taste that sort of zingy back note. I thought I'd ruined this actually. That's actually quite nice. Yeah, it's that sort of sour, sort of citrusy note. I'm actually quite happy with that, and I can see why the goats like it actually. This is the first time I've done this, so I'm not meant to be good at it yet. It's sort of just a first try. So we know for next time to either drop down the sugar or measure it first. But I hope you like the video. It's a little bit different to the photography again, but I think the two things do go together, because when you're out in the woods, you'll probably see this kind of thing, and maybe you could give it a try next time. If you've got any recipes that you want me to try, leave them down in the comments and I'll give it a try sometime. And yeah, I'll leave you with that video of the goats. What's this, Anna? Is that good? Should go back for a second, so it must be right. Do you like it?